In this video, we're going to talk about target marketing and how to segment a market. Marketers evaluate all the possible potential customers and then prioritize, otherwise known as target, those with the highest probability. High probability segments are pieces of the market, so not everyone. Even when it comes to Walmart and Coca-Cola, they're not targeting everyone. They are dividing the total market into smaller groups that have similar characteristics and that have similar buying habits. Why? Well, to prioritize those groups, you want to know who has the highest probability to purchase. For example, would a restaurant called Big Beef be more likely to have ballerinas or football players as their customers? Certainly both could be customers, but the probability is that they will see far more football player types than professional ballerinas. Ballerinas are one segment, football players are another. To define a market segment, it has to be measurable. You have to be able to count how many people are in it. It has to be accessible. You have to be able to reach those people. It has to be substantial, so one person is not a substantial market. It has to be differentiatable and actionable. So that means it needs to be different from somebody else. The market of 3-year-olds looking for toys is very different than the market for 12-year-olds looking for toys. And then each segment is defined by the following variables. Where are those customers? Are they suburban? Are they rural? Are they urban? Is it by climate? Is it by nations? Is it by states? Is it by counties or different towns? Also, we look at something called demographic factors. The question that is asked all the time is, quote, what's the demo? The demo includes age, gender, income, education, religion, ethnicity, what generation you're in, what life cycle that is. Are you married? Are you single? Do you have children? Do you have grandchildren? And what's your occupation? All of those things, when we group people together, provide for a market segment. We also look at psychographics. So psychographics are what social class you're a part of. What's your lifestyle? Are you a ballerina or a snowboarder? What's your personality? Are you bold? Are you soft? Are you gentle? And then finally, what's your attitude towards products, towards spending on occasions, right? Some people spend big for holidays, some people don't. And then what are the benefits that you're looking for? So when we look at people, we actually profile them. And we say, well, this is how I think these people will react to this particular product. So life cycle is something that people get confused about quite often. Life cycle is the stages we pass through from the time we're a kid until, well, we die. So the list you can read for yourself. You could be a single parent, you could be married with no kids, married with young children, married with teens, married with adults, married with adult children living at home, with a grandparent, with the retired, with the elderly, with the frail elderly, right? And then each of these stages has a different attitude, action, and purchase behavior. Again, if I have a 3-year-old, I'm buying different things than if I have a 12-year-old, right? Oftentimes, segmenting by age is not sufficient enough, right? You could be 35 years old and be single with no kids, or you could be married or divorced with 6 kids, right? And so it's just saying that you're going to target 35-year-olds wouldn't be enough. Another part of the demographic is segmenting by age, right? We look at generational cohorts, that's groups who on average have similar traits. As you'll read more in the book, you'll see Generation Z, which depending on what you read, were born from 1995 and on, and some places say 2001 and on, versus probably your great-grandparents, your parents' parents, each born in a different generation. Each generation has lived through different events, and it has shaped their attitudes towards products and services differently. And then, of course, we need to think about who is most likely to buy from us. Is it men or women? Well, you can see the list on the right-hand side of that slide. Women account for most of the spending in this country, over half of the gross domestic product for consumer spending, right? 85% of the consumer goods purchases are made by women, right? Marketers want to know what women are thinking about when they think about purchasing everything from vacations to new cars. Psychographic segmentation, as I introduced a few slides ago, includes figuring out what a person's personality is, right? If you are, like I said earlier, a snowboarder, you are likely to have a different personality and buying traits than if you are, let's say, someone who knits as their favorite hobby, right? So once we segment the markets and we look at all the different ways that we might approach those markets, the next step is to select the target, right? And the target is selected based on the size and its growth potential, right? Again, how many 3-year-olds are there versus how many 12-year-olds or 35-year-olds? The target market is the set of buyers who share common needs. And we are able to, as a brand, serve those needs with products, price, promotion, and distribution, the 4 P's of marketing. So why do we select a target? Well, if you look at the graphic on the right, the total available market is called the undifferentiated market. That's everybody in the world. And then we want to think about who is most likely of all of the markets to purchase from us. And then pick 1 or 2 segments where we can really hone in on the products that we're going to promote to those companies, the way that we're going to introduce those products. Is it going to be on television? Is it going to be on social media? Am I going to do a video? Am I going to do a print ad? And what am I going to say in those things? So the target market is necessary to eventually determine how are you going to create products and how are you going to promote them. Here's an example. This is Lulu's organic pet food. The product is an organic pet food that competes with high-end foods like Blue Buffalo, if you're familiar with that. A target market might be women age 35 to 60 who make more than $75,000 a year, who are single or divorced and don't have any kids. They are what we consider emotional dog lovers, and they tend to be in the urban parts of the United States. So knowing all that, I can look at my advertising and say, okay, I'm going to create some social media posts using cute designer dogs dressed for each season, right? I'm going to promote that advertising on maybe Facebook and Snapchat and maybe some others. And I'm going to advertise on TV programs like Scandal and Grey's Anatomy. And I might even do some special recycled packaging to speak to that particular target market. So that's a quick review of market segmentation and